Hello, welcome back to Fred in the Shed. We're up in the Radio Shack, and on this video we're going to be taking a closer look at the latest version of the ATS 25 receiver. This is the amp version. One thing that I do respect ATS for is they do listen to customer feedback and customer criticisms, and they do improve their products as they go along. This was the original ATS 25x1 that I did a review way back, and there was a few issues with this radio that I wasn't entirely happy, and hopefully they've been addressed on this latest amp version. So that's what we're going to find out. But I think first we just need to peel off the screen protector. That's better. Just like the original, the latest version is still an Arduino Nano based radio. What are you talking about, Fred? Well, I can show you. This is a Arduino Nano. It is a very, very small microprocessing computer, very useful for all applications when it's paired up with a radio chip. And I believe they said it was the Si4732 A10 in here, but when you switch it on, it actually comes up the Si4732. Bit confused, but basically it's a little chip, a little radio chip that turns the Nano into a full range HF receiver. In a second we'll see what comes in the box, because you do get this rather nice, impressive case. But before that, let's just go through the basic specs of the radio. Receiving range of the radio: FM broadcast band does go down to 64 megs if you really want it to, and the FM has RDS. AM medium wave, again standard broadcast band. Long wave, if there's anything on long wave these days, and shortwave. Now shortwave starts at 1710 all the way up to just under 30 megahertz, and of course obviously that is AM for the broadcast band, and then upper and lower sideband for the ham bands. Radio claims to have new personalization options. I think what they're referring to is the signal meter display here. On the original you just had a sort of horizontal power graph. There's a few options now for this. We'll have a look at that a little bit closer when we zoom in, but I think that's what they're going on about. There's also a vertical mode, so you can flip the screen 90 degrees and have this upright, which might be useful for some people. Battery wise, 3.7 volts, 2000 mAh. I think it's the same as the original, and the battery lasts for absolutely forever on the original, so that's not a problem. As far as the screen goes, it now has a screensaver option that cuts in every few minutes if you don't touch the radio. I think the resolution looks about the same. It's 320 by 240, which is beginning to sound a little bit low in 2024. I think that would be nice if that was 480 by 600 or something like that. It's fine, it's clear, but maybe that's something they could work on the next version. Now, as for upgraded changes from the previous version, which was the 25 Max, not really sure exactly what they've done here. They say they've now got hardware support for LNA and high Z antennas. So what I mean by that is LNA antennas, those are low noise amplified antennas, or sometimes you might have one of those inline amplifiers that are very popular with SDR. And high Z antennas, they're high impedance antennas, typically long, very, very long wires you'd have outside, maybe in an array format, so you're getting lots and lots of gain. And this is now selectable, and they're saying it's selectable by hardware, whereas I think maybe before it may have just been software. On the front of the fascia now, you can see you've got three options, and this comes up on the screen here. But basically you've got the 50 ohm, which is your standard coaxial cable, and the telescopic whip, and then you've got the LNA and the high Z in there. So yeah, maybe that's an improvement. Also, they're supposed to have fitted a new bandpass filter, and that could help, because these radios can sometimes suffer from cross modulation, especially like me. You've got a very strong medium wave radio station transmitting tower, so that should help with that. Again, we'll be testing that when we get on to shortwave to see if we've got any spurious bleed over cross modulation. The radio now has a built-in Morse code decoder, including FT4 and FT8 data. My original didn't have that, but I think the Max version, the previous one, I think that did have that already, so maybe that's something just have upgraded from the original. Looking at the radio itself, physically nothing really has changed from the original other than these 3 LEDs here for the antenna selection. It's not a bad thing. I mean, it's made quite nice for something that costs about £75. It's got the same encoder, and I have had no trouble at all with this original encoder. It actually feels really nice for a cheap radio. One little quirk was when it was supplied to me, the encoder was working backwards and that threw me out, but it's in the menu options. It had the reverse encoder function switched on for some reason, and this is kind of brings me to a bugbear with these ATS radios in general. I mean, they're really up in their game in the respect that you get a nice case and you do get some goodies in there, and I'll show you that in a second. And the radios are made nice. As I say, you've got a printed circuit board on the front fascia. It's a aluminium enclosure. I mean, they do feel really nicely made, but they still do not supply any operating instructions whatsoever, not even a basic startup sheet to get you going. So if you're new to these ATS radios, there is a very steep learning curve compared to a commercial software radio, and you are forced to go onto the internet and search out videos like this one and more in-depth videos as well. So yeah, you have to sort of bear that in mind. I just wish they would provide a basic booklet, just taking you around the main operating controls just to get you started. They really do need to do that. Quick look around the radio then. As I say, the front looks the same. When we come round to the back of the radio, we now have a USB-C port, which is the latest version. So it says for USB charging and also download. So I imagine that's for updating the firmware and the software. Charge LED, same as before. Power on. Headphone socket. Yeah, it's still on the back. Again, you know, guys, this really does get to me. Why they just can't fit a headphone socket in the front? I do appreciate there's not a great deal of room here. But I'm sure they could fit it in somewhere. It's just annoying if you use headphones, you have to trail the cable out the back. Yeah, they really need to put that around the front. Antenna connection, of course, you want to put this through a long wire, an outside wire, to get the best out of it. Still stuck with the BNC connector. Again, I think PL259 would be an upgrade. Now, you can get adapters such as these. You can get these for about £2 for £6 on Amazon, and they just simply fit onto the back there, and then you put your 259 antenna. But it does make the radio, it increases the sort of length of the radio. If you're putting this on a shelf or something, it's not ideal. So yeah, I would like to see a 259 at the back. As I drop my pen. And then we have this little terminal. This is a Wi-Fi antenna, and I believe there's a Wi-Fi antenna in the box. Now, when I first saw this, I got a little bit excited because I thought that maybe now the radio had been upgraded to receive network radio, things like Zello, stuff like that. That would be really useful, but I can't see anywhere where it states that the radio is capable of that. It's a bit hard without an operating book. So I'm a little bit perplexed what this is actually doing. I then thought it might just be for updating the software and the firmware, but that all seems to be done via the USB-C straight into the Arduino. So I don't know. Answers in the comments if you know what the Wi-Fi is for. I really can't see. Right, let's have a quick look what we get in the rather nice little carrying case. So it is nice they supply this. I do like cases. It just keeps everything nice and neat, especially if you were taking this on your travels. Certainly is a good thing. So basically we get a USB-C charging lead, no power adapter, but of course we've all got those, haven't we? Then we have a very basic telescopic whip antenna with the BNC connection. Useful for setting up the radio, playing around with it. Obviously works on the FM band. Will get you the stronger shortwave signals as well, but basically you're going to need an external antenna or a loop antenna to get the best out of it. What else we got? Okay, this is the small little Wi-Fi antenna then that would fit in the back, which I've got no idea why it needs that. And we got this thing. We're going to come back to that because I haven't got a clue. Little silicone pads just fit onto the bottom of the radio, stop it sliding around. I need to do that. And then we have this. It's a bit like a magic wand, isn't it? You know, abracadabra or something. I've got no idea. A pen? No. Oh, what the hell? That's a bit. It's like something out of Doctor Who. he had a sonic screwdriver. This, okay. That is a bit odd. I think. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe that's. Oh, okay. So it's like a little plunger for the screen to stop you using your fingers. Okay, I've never seen that before. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I would sooner they just provided an adapter, a 259 adapter, than that. I'm probably not going to be using that very much, but there you go. All right, it's in there. So yeah, very nice carry case, and an antenna I'm not quite sure what used for, some feet which I'm now going to put on the radio. A couple of things stand out. First is the battery. We now have a voltage reading, or the more conventional percentage, which is quite nice. And then the biggest change really is the power meter. This is basically what we had before, which is a simple horizontal graph, but by pressing that we now have this yeah, quite nice sort of retro VU meter effect. Quite like that, actually. You can see the RDS now coming in because we're on FM stereo. Then we have, which is basically a waterfall effect. Now, I don't know really. I was playing with this earlier. I really can't get this to show too much, to be honest with you. It doesn't seem. I mean, I'll be expecting a sort of grouping here and a trace, but it doesn't seem to show anything, and I can't see where this is adjustable. If you happen to know, let me know in the comments. I would be rather interested. So it might just be a little bit of a gimmicky feature. And then we have a spectrum display, which again seems to represent the channel or the filter there. I have to go into the options and see if we can configure this, because as I say, at the moment it's not really doing too much. I think I prefer I think I quite like the VU meter myself. So one big change for this radio from the original is that you can select the different types of antenna input now. So there's a little tile here that isn't that clear to see. So here we go. So we've got the LNA amplified antenna and the high Z antenna array, or we just simply leave it on 50 ohm for a long wire, and I'll assume that is for the telescopic as well. But it's quite good that it's got that. On this side, this is basically the same: volume control, mute. Now, I've got a switchable AGC automatic gain control. I'll test this on shortwave. I found with the first model that it was better to leave that off. It did tend to overload some of the stronger shortwave radio signals, like Radio China, things like that. There is an attenuation device, and this works really well actually. If we look at the signal meter, we can just turn up the attenuator there. As you can see, we can reduce the signal coming in, and I did find that quite useful on the original version to stop overloading the radio. Then we've got basic tuning controls, obviously bandwidth. At the moment we're on FM, so that's just on auto, but we'll adjust that on shortwave. Direct frequency input, yeah, that's pretty straightforward, quite simple. It does have memories. Does have memory channels. I think it's 200. I'll have to check. And then we have the step rate. We can change it on FM. Although we'd normally leave it on 100, but yeah, quite useful. Again, want to check that when we get onto shortwave. We want to check if that goes down to 1 kilohertz. I think below that we have to use the BFO, which is fine. And then we have the designated bands here. So if we switch this, we've got all of the ham bands, and Yeah, I can't see the CB band. I want to check to see if they've actually added FM on the CB, because that was one of my complaints originally. We'll have a quick look at the next line of features. So up and down scanning, simple. Yeah, simple up and down. Then we have the scan option. Now this was a static scan before. Let's have a quick press of that. So yeah, all this did before, but it went along the frequency, and then it remained static. I wonder if they've improved this to a spectrum scope. At the moment it's not doing anything. Let's let it load up. Yeah, it does look the same, doesn't it? It's just repeating going along. Oh no, that's live. Okay, that's gone. Now I'm selecting. That appears to have gone live. So you can just click on the frequency there, and it does appear to change. Again, we can test that when we get on to shortwave. But that will be a biggie if that is live tuning and not just some optical illusion. They're clever, these people. Then yeah, that could be quite interesting actually. There's the setup options. There's a lot of setup options in the radio. I'm not going to go through these on this video. It's just going to take too long. Then we come over the side. RDS we've got switched on. FM, we're on FM at the moment, and then we have the retro look. Now again, I don't know if anyone really uses this. Just makes it look like an old-fashioned shortwave radio, really. And because I've got the step rate really low, that's taking quite a long time to tune. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not something that I'm really going to use, to be honest. Memory channels. Here I think we can add memories and edit them and delete them. I'm not sure if you connect this to a PC. I'm not sure if you can do it with programming software. You couldn't on the original. And again, I don't tend to use memories myself. And then, okay, now we've got CB. Now this is a new button, and this computer, press on that. Whoa, okay. Is that coming out on camera? Yeah, it is. Oh, that's quite cool. So this is actually turned into a CB. And there you go. Okay, this is the Euro channels. That would be the 30 would be the 305. By clicking on that, okay, we can change mode. Upper sideband. Come on, let's see if it's got FM. This would make my day. AM. Lower sideband. Come on, FM. BFO. I don't want a BFO. Upper sideband. Back to AM. Oh, damn it! They've missed. That could have been really good. They've missed the FM again, and that was my complaint on the first one. I don't suppose if I press FM, that's just going to go back to radio. And yeah. Oh, what a shame. Yeah, they haven't got the FM, have they? I like what they've done here. It does look like a CB radio. I like the signal meter. You can have a supposed spectrum scope and waterfall. Okay. But yeah, I like that. But I just wish they'd done the FM. Unfortunately not. There we go, and that gets us back. So we're now on 27. I'll just check actually. Can we change on the bandwidth? Can we change the FM? Back to the broadcast band. Oh, what a shame. No, we haven't got FM, have we? Really, I got a little bit excited then. No, they need to put FM on it. I mean, America's got FM now. The FCC have allowed FM for over a year now. So yeah, it needs FM on CB. So one thing I want to see is how many tuning digits we've got. We're currently on 5. If I change the mode, we go into, say, upper sideband, for example. That should change to 7. Yeah, so that's when that goes to 7, and that saves you using the BFO. You can now just manually tune. That's absolutely fine. But if we go onto the AM shortwave band, so if we say, I don't know, let's go in something like 1700 or something. Right. Okay, so that's now gone into the AM shortwave band, but we've dropped down to 5 digits. We can set the step rate. Yeah, the lowest it goes down is 1 kilohertz. That's fine for basic shortwave tuning, but you will find if you really want to go for those very weak stations, it would be nice if we had just an extra digit there just for clarification. And I don't suppose, because we're on AM, the BFO won't work, will it? Unfortunately, we haven't got the BFO option. So yeah, I think something they could have added an extra digit there. Just would have helped the shortwave performance, but anyway, we'll test it in a minute with a proper antenna. So yeah, after that brief look, they have improved a few things on the looks of the radio. I suppose it's quite nice that you can change this signal meter, this waterfall effect. It's very narrow, and I won't really know to get an antenna connected to it, but might just be a bit of a gimmick. Same with the spectrum display there. Quite like that one actually. I think that one looks quite nice. But yeah, I think there has been a few improvements. The screen does feel quite nice and reactive as well. So I think what I need to do now is we need to connect an antenna, proper antenna to it. I'll use an indoor loop for the shortwave broadcast band, and we'll see what comes through. And then we'll go over to sideband. I'll use my outside CB antenna. We can go across 11 meters, see if there's some skip coming in. And it also works quite well on 20 meters. One thing the original radio suffered from was an overload of any strong local stations. You would hear it. The sort of AGC control was very, very slow, and it just would you get that crackling sound, which was quite annoying. So it'd be interesting to see if they've been able to fix that. That would be quite nice. So anyway, let's get this downstairs, let's get an antenna in it and see what we get. Just going to start off here trying out the data decoder on 10 meters using my Antron 99, and then I'll pop downstairs and going to use the U-loop antenna and see how it decodes data on that. So that worked pretty well actually. I'm not quite sure what it all means, but it certainly decoded it. Downstairs now, using this very cheap £15 U-loop for the next part of the testing. There we go, it's working, look at that.
Papa Alpha 4 Juliet Juliet BA4 Japan Japan. CQ Cortez Papa Alpha 4 Juliet Juliet BA4 Japan Japan.
QSL to get 59 November Bravo.
QSL, good afternoon, 59141.
141, thank you very much.
Good luck, thank you.
Ocean Tango 40 recalling the execute on X-ray. Ocean Tango 40 recalling the execute Delta X-ray. Ocean Tango 40 recalling the XL listening. PSY. Yeah, why should I PSY? Give me a reason. Why should I PSY?
Please QSY, you're interfering with my frequency 2 kTs up. Please QSY. Please QSY, do not use this frequency. QSY 500 Hz down, I'm using it 2 kTs up and I can't go any higher. With a bit of wire, they're coming quite well, but you have to be up at the time they're up, that's the issue. I do work with VK quite often, but it's on the keyboard on our packet radio, and that uses the internet link, so it's cheating a little bit, to say the least. Anyway, that's...
At airnsttalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 928-909-4044.
上面 summer
上面要 Margaret。
You know, what Trump is saying, I believe, is something like 60% tariffs on Chinese imports to the United States. So what I've read and people I've talked to about this believe that this, of course, will have a very negative impact. So the question is, one, whether he wins, and if he does win, will he actually follow through on this? So, you know, again, it's a very challenging environment that Chinese companies that depend on exports to the U.S. will certainly have to grapple with this. That being said, there's also tremendous confidence and ambition amongst Chinese companies. So look at the Consumer Electronics Show. 4,000 companies, a quarter of them were Chinese. And many of them, you know, want to sell to the U.S. market, which to me says they're confident they can compete.
پیشگیری از این بیماری را دارند. بسیاری از این اشخاص شاید با خلوص نیت ولی بعضی دیگر از روی طمع به توزیع این مواد مشغولند.
بر مصرف مداوم گوشت و خوراکی‌های فرآوری شده از سوی میوه و سبزیجات را کمتر مصرف می‌کردند. در سال پیشین نیز پژوهشی که
getting out of the COVID, so not a lot of things has actually been recovered, and still we got 5.2% growth rate on the GDP. And if you look into 2024, both of these pressures are gone. The real estate market has hit its bottom, it's cooling down right now, and in some cities you see a lot of measures have been given by local governments to stabilize this market. So the trend will be much better compared with last year, and the COVID issue is long gone. So
back up in the Radio Shack, and yeah, conclusion time. I've spent about 3 weeks with this radio now, testing it, and what do I think? Well, I think it's done pretty well. I'm quite impressed by it. It's certainly obvious when you've got the original version, like I have here. You can see how they've improved things. I still think there's a little bit to go, and we'll get to that in a moment. But the interface, although on first impressions it does look the same, it has been improved. I do like this power meter now, how you've got the different options, and the spectrum scope. Yeah, it does work. It would be nice if you could click on that and expand that maybe to the bottom part of the screen, and then you could have touchscreen tuning as well. Maybe that might come on the next model, but it's quite nice that you can have this as different power meters, the spectrum scope there, or waterfall, just a basic power meter. And then the retro one I quite like. The antenna inputs, I think these help. I only tested it on a 50 ohm. First, the original version did have a tendency to overload quite quickly. This radio still has got a slight tendency to become overloaded. And also the AGC control. Yeah, I'm really not convinced that the AGC control is fast enough. It's not really smooth enough. If you've got two stations, you've got a weaker station on sideband and a very strong station. When they swap transmissions, it does get a little bit caught out. I tend just not to use the AGC. You'd have seen on the video there, I was putting it on and putting it off. It is just a bit slow, really. So I think they still need to do a little bit of work on the AGC. But of course, with the attenuation device there, that's working really, really well. And although it means a bit of knob twiddling, you can take the strength of the signal down so the radio doesn't become overloaded. As far as things like battery life goes, yeah, I've been using this for 3 weeks. I'm still on 92% of the battery, so no problem there. The battery will just go on forever. Another thing that's improved is the tuning. I've not had a problem with the encoder via on the first one here, or the new one. On the first one, it tended to do what I called a chuff. When you tuned it, it was typical of a digital tuning system, and then every so often you would get a static rush, like a that was really, really annoying on headphones. They have suppressed that quite a lot. There's no chuffing at all now when you tune the radio, and every now and then it mutes. It very slightly mutes instead of that static rush, which is much more bearable on headphones. In fact, you don't really notice it. So that's really nice that they have smoothed out the tuning of the radio. Just a couple of things I think they could improve upon. As I mentioned earlier, it's fine when you're in upper and lower sideband. You have the full digits there on the display. I just personally would like it if we went into AM, for example. We then lose the final 2 digits. I would like a sort of a 1/10 hertz digit, if you like, just for that extra fine tune when you're listening to shortwave. And then, of course, the fact that it still hasn't got the FM on CB, and that's a real shame. It's nice that they've included a CB mode, and that's quite nice. I think I quite like that, but again, we really need FM now, especially as America has FM. Hopefully, once again, when they bring out the new model, they'll listen to us and they'll put in the FM. I do think I'm starting to get a bit picky though. You have to remember this is a £75 UK priced radio. It's not all that expensive. And if you feel that's a little bit too much, of course there's the smaller brother, the ATS 20 Plus. This was a little radio that I reviewed a few weeks ago now, and they've completely fixed the encoder. It has the same encoder as the bigger brother, the ATS 25. And yeah, it does have a very small, clear but very small little mono screen there. You do need your reading glasses, and it misses out on a few of the features. But for £30, which is what they go for, this radio really is a little bit of a bargain if you're starting out. If, like me, you've got the original ATS 25x1, I think the 25 amp is a good upgrade. It just tunes, it's nicer, it's smoother, it can handle stronger signals better. If you've got the max version of the radio, the previous incarnation, not really sure really on the difference. I mean, I think the Max supported LNA and high Z antennas. Obviously this one claims to have that covered in hardware. But I think it's nice looking at these radios in general, how each model, each new version is an improvement on the previous one. I'll be keeping a close eye on ATS, and will be interesting to see what the next version brings. If you're interested in this little radio, I will leave a link in the description. You can go away to the website and check it out further. I do appreciate this video is probably going to end up quite long with all the testing, so there's the thumbs up from Fred in the Shed. Thank you for sticking with me. I do appreciate your view time. I'm a small channel. I get so little views on my videos that everyone is really important to me. So cheers. Thumbs up from Fred. If you got a second before you go, just hit me a thumbs up down below. Again, I would appreciate it. But just like to say, as I do on every video, please, please, please look after each other. Take care. And of course, I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.